welcome to another episode of Musso. We're your hosts, Ngone, Hadi, and Jama. On this podcast, we share a microphone for fresh conversations on current affairs and women's realities beyond a single story. Ramadan Mubarak, everyone. We hope you're all okay and that the Ramadan is not doing you like it's doing some people I know.
Jama.
Name, but
How
are you guys surviving this Ramadan, Hadi?
Honestly, you know me, I kind of don't eat. so it's apart from that, it's been, just the spiritual aspect. It's always a good time to reflect and, to reduce the violence. I'm done talking.
Okay.
I'm done talking.
What about you, Jama? How are you doing?
Good.
Okay, we're gonna have a new rule. You feel like Ken, how you're doing and it good. Like good is
I'm
bad.
doing well. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramzi
Sira's watch
Mubarak.
Ramzi Mups. But yeah, doing good. It's a Ramadan that I'm actually trying to take up fasting again because I had stopped for health reasons. Obviously because Nico Dega then you're hey, but I'm also blah blah. But I'll talk about that later on. But I'm trying to get back into it slowly because like Hadi again, sometimes I forget to eat during the day, and I'm like, if on a regular day you're forgetting to eat, then eating is not really the problem. But yeah, looking forward to a full month of just, I guess, reconnecting with God in a way.
Amen. Well,
I like that.
for me, everyone knows how I do with Ramadan, so there's really no point saying.
The 2
I know
p.m. challenge
Habib-
tweets.
I'm sure Habib is already pulling up my challenge tweets, but whatever, But we're fine. I don't know. I like Hadi said, reconnecting with God, and it's a good time to get back into that spiritual sense. So because of that, yes. But he've been warm. The hunger keeps doing me,
And the thirst
and everything you have to do from Dagu. And I think that's a good way to get into our quote for this week. And it's a quote we chose because it serves as a reminder to everyone, but especially the men in Gambian homes, about how to help out in Ramadan. And it's by Adiko Doseka, one of our good sisters on Twitter. And she said, the women are fasting the same number of hours as you all. They're as famished and exhausted. When they cook iftar, clear the table and wash the dishes before or after you rush to the masjid for Taraweeh. If the food is not to your taste, eat it anyways and be thankful for the efforts put into making the food whilst fasting in the heat.
I like that.
I love it, especially the last part. I really love it.
I think she does the reminders kind of like every year.
Yeah.
By the way, that's my numero uno. I have so much love for Adiko.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She is so
I've
wonderful.
admired her since we were like kids.
Yeah.
Time in school, she was this brilliant top achiever, first class. Like, so I was always so much in love with her, and now she's my numero uno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my biggest supporters for Linger as well. And she nailed it.
Yes.
I hope people listened, and not just people. I hope
The
the
men's.
XY chromosome people have been.
The men's. The bullets.
Anyway.
What
Oh,
happened
sorry.
to violence?
I'm not choosing
What happened
violence.
to
My bad, y'all. My bad. Oops.
See, the fakery would always jump out. Always.
No,
always.
Ramadan is a good time to remember, to realize what your potentials are, like outside of shaitan. And then you do stuff, and then you say stuff, and you're like,
So it's not shaitan.
Yeah, it's me.
It's me. It's been me all this time.
it's been me
been
all
me.
along.
But anyway, to get into the topic, Gemma, what does Ramadan mean to you? I know you've touched on it a bit, but could you tell us what Ramadan means to you and what it does for you?
I think I can speak specifically to this one because you know me, right? I didn't grow up in a typical Muslim home. I was born to a Muslim father and a Christian mom and raised in my mom's family. So coincidentally, we've just come out of Lent as well. So it's like double werikor, teglante. So I did not have the typical like Muslim home Ramadan experience. So we had Muslims in the home, which was basically my aunt, my uncle's wife, and then us, my sister, and me. And we were considered half Christian, half Muslim anyway. So we were Christmas, yes. So it wasn't really that, typical Muslim Ramadan. I think my full experience of Ramadan, if I can remember, was when I lived in Morocco. Obviously living with roommates who are Muslim in a Muslim country where it's like the whole country is observing Ramadan. I remember there was this one time when somebody had their hand cut off because they were coming out of the McDonald's eating a burger or something, and so it was like, it's Ramadan, blah blah blah. So it's
What?
that kind of country, you know.
Wow.
It's a Muslim
Yeah.
kingdom,
Wow.
and so you could not. I feel like, and I say this all the time, I felt like I was a whole better Muslim when I lived in Morocco, with everything else happening there that I'm not gonna get into, than even when I am in Gambia. But obviously that's also tied to just religion. So for me, Ramadan has been a mix of things, really. So there it was a full experience, fasting all the time, waking up at Fajr, going to Nafila, you know, the whole experience. And we do Ndogu together. But then at home here, it's like just me, or like just me and my sisters. So there's not that full, you know, whole family, you know, and stuff like that. So for me, it's meant different things. So I think one of the things I look forward to as well is just having my own kids, and maybe with my own family, trying to see what those traditions are going to look like. And for this year, like I said, I'm trying to take up fasting again, because I think I stopped about how many years ago because of my tummy issues. But I'm trying to do that again slowly, and see if I will be able to do the hunger fasts.
If you want a family, you can just adopt me and then we can do it together.
Too much violence. I cannot deal with that.
We would literally make the best aunties. You should hurry up and have
No, I
babies.
said for her to adopt
Expose
me.
my children to you.
Adopting
people.
you is not gonna happen. Bobu mom nenko tege sele.
Okay,
So you
you're
look at
right.
what's possible.
Anyway, on to positive vibes and positive things, you know.
It doesn't even sound right. It doesn't even sound right coming out of you right now.
What does Ramadan mean for me?
Yes.
I think for me, I've always been drawn to fasting with all of, like, you know, the tenets of Islam and stuff. It's fasting that I've always felt like, okay, you know what, I can do this and I enjoy it. So weird. No, I really do enjoy it. For me, always the hardest part about Ramadan, as a violent person, is not cussing somebody out, or just you know, not choosing violence. But since I was a kid, I remember when I first started like trying to fast at like 6, 7. I started very early. My granddad would be like, Didi, danga def ori halal, danga dok 12. And I was just like, no, I can do it. He was like, Didi, why halal funga tera dok? So like, there's something that I kind of mean all for myself, and it's always something that I've really, like I said, I've struggled with every other like tenet of the religion, but fasting is like, I'm like, God, this is where I shine, right?
You even do your Mondays and Thursdays,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something that I quite enjoy. So I'm always really excited for Ramadan, mainly because like I try to take at least one thing and say, okay, this is what I'm going to develop in myself for the next year. So I'm like, this is what I'm learning. Last year it was forgiveness. This year it's probably going to be patience.
So how are you with that forgiveness?
No, I've been doing really well with it.
When are you choosing peace?
Never.
Wow.
At least she's honest. At least she's honest.
God said don't lie.
At least she's honest in Ramadan.
God said don't lie. So go. Tell us about you with Ramadan.
I mean, for me, I think Ramadan means, okay, I struggle with certain tenets of the religion, especially prayer. Yes, I struggle with that one. That is my confession. And Ramadan is always, it always helps me get back on track, because I don't know, for some reason, that especially the last Ramadan, for some reason I'm always up at like Wahtu Juli. You get up, you pray Fajr all the way to Isha, your Nafila at night, and I think that's because of the environment that's created during Ramadan. It's like everything is just so calm, and everyone is just so much more at peace. You know, you go to work, close early, you try to help out, cook and everything, but even with all that fatigue, there's just some form of calm that I can't explain. And I think because of that, it's easier for me to get into a rhythm where I'm just complying with everything that I'm supposed to as a Muslim, and you know, it's a lot easier. So because of that, I always look forward to Ramadan. Like I've been looking forward to this one, because I'm sort of in a haste to get back in that space where I was last Ramadan, because I just feel like I miss it. It's like for the first time I feel like I miss Ramadan and the vibe that I was in and everything. So I've been looking forward to this one, and Alhamdulillah.
Are you one of those people that does the countdown? Because
No, I do not. Listen, I do not do the countdown.
You should see Jama and Nice face when Mo said I miss it.
No, I don't know, for some reason, like as much as Numaragale or Yep, like I am scared of fasting because of hunger. Hunger and I do not mix. Like But for some reason, what I miss is the spirituality of it, rather than the hunger, like how spiritual I feel and how connected I feel with my religion. That's what I miss. But the countdown, I hate it when people count down. I'm like, what are you counting down for?
And reminding you about the ones you missed in the previous.
Please mind your business. It's like the other day I saw someone share on Twitter that in 2030 we would actually have 2 Ramadans, and that's telling you.
It's funny because I'm actually so excited for that.
Anyway, okay.
But it's alcohol. The second one is like the tail end of December, so it's not like a whole month of living. But
can you party at home over there?
The party Ramadan. The last one never exists for a reason.
But apart from that, I think also I'm just thinking of it from like someone that doesn't live in the Gambia perspective, because in England at that time dog was gonna be like 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
And
will you be in England still?
I don't know when we'll be. You know, my life is my life.
2030. In 9 years.
Okay, mate, I can go there for a holiday.
Anyway.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, Dal. But I like when you said, when you were younger, you would want to fast and your grandpa would stop you. And for me, that reminded me of when I was like in primary school, and I was always the youngest in my class, like 2 years younger than everyone, and I'd go to school and everyone would be fasting. But at home, I'm not required to fast, but I would pretend like I was fasting, and I didn't start fasting until I was like in the 8th grade or so. I think that's when I actually started fasting, and even then it was just something else. It was just something else. When did you you started at what time?
Yeah, I started quite early, but then there were also times, when a bit of this stuff, but then you like a mistake, and like you're like, "Hi, tell Moko, the must
And you know what's annoying about that, Mamas? When people choose to remind you, I'm not trying to continue.
No, I used to want to continue like that, but I just needed a break. I needed like half time.
No, but like that's why you don't must or mistake in front of people. You go to the fridge, you eat from pasta game, and then you go your way.
Mistakes, Mom, you don't true mistakes, Mom. You don't do in front of in private. You don't.
That's a premeditated mistake.
Exactly. And you're allowed a premeditated mistake if you're not what's the word, muskalaf here?
Yeah,
you're just learning, so you're allowed a premeditated mistake.
Hey,
I can't remember when I started. But I know I used to do that school thing as well. You go to school and everyone's fasting. And Ramadan was the time when everyone would also bring their colors and whatever to the school to pray in school, because and I remember this as early as grade 3. So yeah, and I had this friend, Olifa. I don't know where she is now. Well, classmate, and she would have this kurus, and in the way grade 3, if I call Lutia kurus with the Java and the corridor classroom, and I'm like, look at this girl, but yeah, so yeah, at that time I think that's when I started like trying to fast, even if you couldn't do, because I think sometimes they also encouraged, even if you can't do like the whole day, if you can do till like 12 or so, but also because that's what what happens with the Christians as well, so it's not a strict no food, no water, nothing eating. So for me, it's like just a blend of those two things that I see people doing. But I can't remember at what exact age, I started fasting.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I've been fasting for a long time. And like,
there's still a lot more time
is there not
to
a
go.
certain point where you're allowed like to skip a year because you've been fasting for a long time?
Hey, Allah.
The haram police, they're listening to you.
Exactly.
They're hearing you. Me, I'm not a monk.
No, because sometime like last year, there was this pandemic and millions of people were sick. Like, wouldn't that have been a ground for us to skip? So what's your favorite Ramadan memory?
Okay, so I really enjoy cooking iftar for people. So every year I always do like a Ramadan, just get together, have people come over and I cook. Last year was the first year I didn't do it. This year also, it's not looking like a possibility, but you don't know, maybe in the middle of it. But because
you can do it and invite us.
I mean, we're here.
No, but I've been quite busy with work.
You're not going to be busy.
No, I'm going to be busy. That's the problem.
You can't invite us for one day out of your spirit of choose this year. So patience and forgiveness and loving care, tenderness.
So, but you don't even let me hug you.
That's harassment.
No, but I mean, it's still, in this pandemic, I'll think about it, but it's literally been like my favorite thing every year. It doesn't matter where I am. I always end up having people over, and I cook and just entertain. I don't know, deep down in my heart, I'm an entertainer, but that's always my favorite thing. And also, I love time no just like a hal time in dogu because I really like hal. And so like just having it cut and just sitting in the basang after you eat the little and then you eat the hal and just chill and then usually get.
And there's a lot of hal around.
There is. It's still hal season.
It was one of my favorite fruits as well.
But what have you never shared? Which memory have you never shared? You look like you have some Ramadan memories you never,
no, but
never
like
shared.
if you know.
No, dama just ñàkkoon jom rek te maa ngi sa benn Ramadan toog lekka grown soup after ndogu. I'm not julli get maa ngi miis su ma segee mu mel ni lu nekk sama biir bi ak sama yëppay dem sama yuri boppa ba after loolu I said
why would you do that?
Deep.
Wow.
What kind
Of all things. Of all things. I think my favorite one was Ramadan 2010. Because we found it in Morocco and it was like the summer right after we went. Because we went like November 2009 and that summer we were advised not to come home because we needed to sort out like I had exams anyway, entrance exams. And so we were in this, so we had moved out of like campus being Nekwan. Man, I was renting away anyway. But then we just moved to this holiday campus, Singai Nekwan, and we just, it was like 2 beds, but we were like 6 people living in there or so. And every day we'd spend the whole time together. And we had this really nice routine going on. Just us Gambian girls, batch I think it was about 6 girls. And we were sharing that space, together. And we would do like this whole wake up, the whole night. We stay up, we're chatting, we're playing games, we're listening to Ida Fai. And I got a lot of the Ida Fai songs I know. I memorized from that time. And then the morning we would spend sleeping, what, then get up, go to the market together, just come. So that whole communal living, I think it was really, really beautiful. It was because then after that year as well, all of us just got sent to our different cities where our schools were. And so we did not have a chance to live together again. But for me, it was just really nice being in that space, sharing the spirit of Ramadan, bringing broke students, our pati sardines and everything together, just making our bahali sardines and we just created stuff. But it was nice, even though it wasn't rich, it wasn't a whole buffet, but it was, even in its simplicity, it was a meal that we were happy to share.
I think that encompasses the spirit of Ramadan.
Yeah, and so like there was a lot of encouragement among us as well. I think we were 5 Muslims, 1 Christian, but even the Christian among us, and obviously me with my mixed stuff, we just shared that together, and it was really, really beautiful. It stayed with me, and every time I listen to Identify as well, it takes me back to that time. Yeah.
Go. What's your favorite?
I think for me, it's actually last Ramadan, because last Ramadan my mom was away, so it was just my siblings and I, and because it was also lockdown, we were all home together. So, and yes, my mom wasn't away, so we all had to like pull together and come together and just take care of everything. So it was like in the evenings we all come together, cook and just prepare everything. This person cooks iftar, the other person cooks hida, and just being together with them and just vibing and spending time together. I think that's what made it my favorite one. Because I think it was also the first Ramadan that I went the whole Ramadan without even listening to music, not even once. Last Ramadan, even I was like, wow, okay. Because I always fail at that, always.
I almost made it. Then Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion dropped the remix to the Savage.
Yeah.
I said, God.
Wait, but no, so after Timis, that doesn't count.
Because Ramadan after Timis Laneje. So did you listen to it or not?
I think I remember your tweets. I think I remember your tweets.
Exactly.
I actually listened to it after. I was like, okay, it's after no, but I cannot wait till after Ramadan to listen to Beyonce.
No, I think for me it was.
So yeah, I guess I almost made it, but yeah.
It's this, last year it was so, because I was really committed to no music at all. It was so bad. At some point, I was making up my own songs. So I was like, after Ramadan, I'm hitting the studio because I think I have a few bars.
Wow. No, but the funny thing is with that, like, I didn't even miss it until Beyonce and Megan did that. But like, I didn't even miss listening to music. So yeah, that Ramadan, I think, how much more connected I got with my siblings and everything. So yeah, we've been talking about Ramadan, but what goals do you have for this year, Gemma?
Do I have
You've already said you.
I think I mentioned it. Yeah, it's basically just. So I don't think my issue is a lack of spirituality. I have a very, very strong connection to God. It just doesn't follow the norms of complete Muslim ga li nga wara follow or Christian ga li nga wara follow. I am very much rooted in the diversity of the religious or spiritual teachings that I was raised with, and so for me, that's what it is. But I think I'm at that point. If you guys remember, I had written this this post about finding myself or choosing what religion I wanted to subscribe to, and I think it's the point I've arrived at again, and I'm still thinking about that and thinking about, what do I really connect to? What is my faith really connected to? And is it even connected to any of these two? And obviously people are going to go misinterpret this and say whatever they want, but this is my journey. And this is where I am at. So for me, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to. Just strengthening prayer again. And it's not like I don't pray. I pray. Like every day is a prayer day for me. But then, like, for example, the 5 daily prayers, just picking that up again and strengthening that again. And just, trying to see what's there. Basically, that's what it is about for me. So I've come into this Ramadan really vulnerable, very open, and just taking it as an opportunity to see, like, if this is where my connection is. So the goal basically is to come out of it with better clarity about what my faith really means, what spirituality really means for me, and if this is really what the way is for me.
I love that so much.
I do.
I really like that.
Because for me, it's also tied to the fact around, how as kids it's like, sapapalila, so linga waraneka. You understand? And for me, I've had my struggles with that and my battles with that, especially because of nin mayare and fanlin mayare and all. And sometimes I feel like I even get judged for it. You're not Muslim enough, or you're not even Christian. And so it used to bother me and get me thinking all the things that drum into your head. Blah, blah, blah. But then the more I grow up, the more I realize it's not a problem that I grew up in that, diverse religious setting. It's not, if anything at all, it has helped me a lot into becoming who I am and just how I view religion and people and their faiths. And a lot of my tolerance, a lot of my understanding, a lot of my opening to just difference is rooted in Lolo Nono. So for me, like this, I've come to the point where I've made peace with the fact that this is what my journey needs to look like. And I really don't need to follow any prescribed paths to say Nilam Waramel. So I will find that for myself, and I feel like there's a spirit guiding me towards finding that, and so wherever it leads me, I'll go.
No, I love that because I'm even obviously like your story is very different, but I'm just thinking for me, like as someone who's very into yoga and spirituality, like I do subscribe to a lot of parts of Buddhism, except the peaceful part. But also not all Buddhists are peaceful anyway. We see everything going on in Burma and stuff, but it's like we tend to, I feel like we have this thing where if you don't specifically subscribe to one religion and just stick to it and like hold on so tight, then you're not like, a God loving, God fearing, God induced person. And for me, like I know for a fact I'm way more spiritual than I am religious, although I do follow the tenets of Islam and all of that, but I know that it's spirit that guides me. And so I like that. I like hearing that.
So what's your goal?
I told you, I'm trying to be more patient. If anyone knows me, I'm not a patient person. If I want something, I want it then and I want it now. And if it's not going my way, then it's an issue. So I'm learning to like realize that the pandemic should have taught me that, right?
You're learning it a year late.
It should have taught me that nothing is supposed to you can't really predict anything. But I'm so stuck in my ways. I think honestly it shouldn't even be patience, it should be learning to not be so stuck in my ways, because it's really, really bad and I know that. And every time someone tells me like you're not patient, I'm like, yeah, I know I'm not a patient person. I don't want to be a patient person. I want things the way I want them, and I want them done like exactly at that time that I want them. But like I'm just trying to limit that and be more understanding of like also faults and failures, and just being patient with myself and with other people. And I think I'm honestly more patient with myself than I am with other people, because I'm like, if I can do it, why can't you do it? But we're all different and we're all not built the same, and I need to come to terms with that. So I'm not she's capping.
Big cap. Big
Nene,
big
Pepis,
time.
all of them are listening. They're like, yeah, she's capping.
Yeah. But for me, I've said it. My goal is to just be better with my prayers and to make it through this Ramadan without any music. So Beyonce, if you're listening, please, no surprise drops, nothing. Just keep minding your business.
You're telling that to the queen of surprise drops.
I'm telling her, please, no surprise drops, nothing. But yeah, inshallah, that is my goal for this Ramadan. And thankfully for this Ramadan, my mom is here, so it's just gonna be more vibes. And I think there's a good point to take a break.
Please tell us what your goals are for this Ramadan. We would like to hear them, and it's a good way for all of us to keep each other accountable. And we will hear from you after this.
Don't forget to share them on #MussoPod. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're still talking about Ramadan and what our goals are for this Ramadan and what we hope to achieve by the end of this Ramadan. Don't forget to share your experiences and your goals with us on #MussoPod. So I just need to ask, what has your experience been as a Gambian woman observing Ramadan in a Gambian household? What has it been like, Hadi?
As someone that doesn't necessarily subscribe to Gambian practices, I can't say it's been too bad. But I see, obviously, like, I see what other women and my aunts and, my mom and them actually have to go through, and it's not fun. I remember one year I went to my mom's for a few days for Ramadan, and she tried to get me to cook like 2 days in a row. I packed my bag. She said, yeah, that's not me, that's not my life. I don't do it. Back now, like, like a few sips of water and I go back to bed. Time, but with a living here, like, in the communal setting, and like, my grandparents would wake me up. I'll be like, like, maybe I'll like a little bit of chere. So hang on, I love chere dahar. So it's like, if that's around, I'll like have like a couple like spoons. When I was younger, I didn't have a choice. I had to wake up to hira. But as an adult, I will not do it. So it's funny. Someone told me that I should pray to have a husband that likes to sleep as much as I do, because if not, I'll have to wake up to make them hira, which I found to be very funny. Because how is your relationship with God? Any of my business?
It's not that. Hira is not the relationship with God. It's about their feeling.
No, but literally, like, because it's like, oh, you're mad. I'm like, why am I hearing them? You don't you get it for like a so I mean this in your mema. Why do I have to get up and do that?
But Koko Limla, no, that's the life of the average Gambian woman in Ramadan. Yeah. That's really the life of the average Gambian woman. You have to deal with the domestic chores, taking care of the house, making sure everything is clean, and you cook for everyone. And in a lot of households here, what I see is people cook ndogu, which is like sauce. Then they have their tea, whatever. Then you cook rice, which is a second ndogu, and then that's the rare. And then you cook hida, which is a different dish. And then you would also cook maybe rui or something for when they're hungry in the middle of the night. So that's like 3 or 4 dishes that you're required to cook. And then on top of that, the cleaning, everything is on you. It's.
I think what happens is just they replicate the breakfast lunch dinner thing, and it basically starts at the night.
It literally defeats the entire purpose.
I mean, you notice there's a lot of waste as well, because people are not even because man small ore, small has a benanti. I can't. Yeah. I just cannot take any more. I'm just like back to zero. Nothing at all. Once that amuduga, the first thing that gets into my tummy, that's what, and then maybe haji gudi, and I don't get up to hida either. I don't do that. Even to get up and drink water, that's not something that I do, but then, like you said, it's things that we see around. Again, I can't speak to that being my experience because of fanla, yaro, and what kind of home I, live in. But it's what we see basically, especially also with women. I mean, I've had colleagues, watch a and there's this thing that the government does where they do early closing times just for women, and men complain about that as well. And I'm always like, because I remember when I was at UTG, when it's time to leave, and I get in the bus as well, and they're like, "Yo, fight them, or blah blah." Man, I like, it's a privilege that's been afforded to women. I am taking it. But then it's also all the complaints, or blah blah, and you try to explain. It's because you can expect to put ngen wacha, ngen dem tal ndogu, tal rare, tal, and then you see a lot of women. They go straight from the office. They're going to the market, to shop, and then you have to go home, cook, make sure everything is ready for everyone. And you're fasting like everyone, but you're still expected to, carry out those duties. And I think it's really important Ajikodo made that reminder, because it's what we see all the time. And sometimes you do it. Imagine 30 days, no, without support, without any help.
You know what gets on my nerves? Even the get man that gets on my nerves. Because why are you telling me thank you when you can get yourself in the kitchen too and help out?
Because that really is really performative.
Yeah,
it's promoting. I don't know how to put it, but it's like celebration of suffering or whatever you want to call it. There's a term for it. It's just not coming to my head.
It's not coming to mind too.
I think out of all of us, I can speak to that because I grew up in that household, that environment where
benevolent sexism.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Look at these feminists with their terminologies. Anyway, yes, I can speak to that because I grew up in that household where the women were literally responsible for everything, to a point where Sufajar Jote for Hida, the men would wake the women up and then they sit and wait for them to heat up the food and serve everyone. Everyone eats, the women do the clearing up. And I was telling you before that one of the, I think I would call it disturbing now, but even then, I was young then, but I still found it very problematic. And there was a day when the women decided that, my aunties, my uncles' wives and stuff, they decided that we've been having, oily dishes or whatever, chew and benachin and whatnot for a long time. So now they want something that has no oil. So they decided to cook like bahali jin, and, they bought their fish, jinyuba, and cooked and everything. And so in my house, usually, like when it's time for ndogu, we just drink tea and eat dates. Tanarma, we go to pray and then we return. We return to eat. So we eat leka tanarma and then we come back to eat rice. We eat rice right after Timis. So we prayed, we came back, and then you take rare and then it's mahal. And this was like, these people went off, started complaining about why nakalani di ore bengon ga ko tegal bahal. Like it was just like, I was young.
Did they eat it though?
They ate it. They ate it, but they were complaining. Some of them didn't eat. One of them went and before food was ready, he realized what they were cooking, so he went and got his own chicken and cooked his own yassa, because all of them know how to cook. They're all very good cooks. So he cooked his own yassa. So, but I remember then thinking, like, how dare you?
Yeah.
That someone is fasting, muduga si wande, and they cooked a meal for you, and all you can say is, how dare you toga bahal for Ramadan? How can I fast the Palemaindogo? Like it just came off as very entitled.
No, it's entitled.
It came off as very entitled, and to this day, like, this was years ago, and to this day I will never forget that. I will never forget that, because I felt so bad that is how you would say thank you to. But this is the reality of a lot of Gambian women. This is what they're facing. And then the person or the people you cook the meal for would start complaining that it's too salty, or it's too this, it's too that, it's too hot, it's too spicy. Instead of just saying thank you for taking the time to prepare a meal for me while you are fasting, right?
I'm trying to understand why they decided to switch.
Why they decided what exactly
taking up the responsibility and making the yasa for tomorrow and telling them just chill, we'll do the yasa.
Exactly.
You know?
Because for sometimes women are human and you just get tired. Like they're sauna and you can't cook elaborate meals every day for a whole 30 days. Especially in a situation where you're the only woman cooking. It's really something else. It's really something else.
It's hard, and then even cooking in Ramadan, I feel like it's so much extra than just the usual cooking. Because people do special ndugas for it, and I understand it's basically also what you're the period you're observing and how you want to make it special. But nobody really stops to think what that extra burden is on women. Let's not even get into the yakale conversation. That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. But then I feel like even that cooking is a whole lot more complicated than the normal everyday stuff that people do for a lot of homes, so
no, the Yekale tradition, like we haven't even that is Jonge, then let Jonge die.
I mean, everybody knows. I don't subscribe to it. If I wake up and decide that I want to do it for someone, I will do it. But one thing I hate is people
entitled
making obligations for me or creating obligations. I hate it.
And unfortunately, Yekale is like an obligation, whether you can afford it or not. Like women,
and just the gymnastics around it, getting loans to put and the
and if you're someone,
let's move.
No, we have to say, if you're someone who has pechagos and stuff,
it's a competition.
Your yeka is now being compared to what the other person brought to them.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
This is why marriage is a harmful traditional practice. If you don't subscribe to marriage, then you will not have to subscribe to any of
and then
these
you
things.
realize there's so many women you have one one time and then sa dole mu and all of a sudden you get sicker.
Especially in this pandemic.
People are tired. People don't have it.
No.
Everyone is just trying to survive with the little they have, but there's still that pressure.
Anyway, but
God.
in addition to the Yekale pressure, there's also the pressure of when Julie is coming. Pressure of getting your kids ready for Korite.
Like at this point, everyone.
At this point, we're close to the mid-Ramadan, and you would start seeing parents running around trying to find good shoes, good clothes, and good stuff for your kids for Ramadan. And for some women, this also comes out of pocket.
Yep.
It comes out of pocket, whether we know it or we say it or not.
We just don't say it.
It comes out of their pockets. And everything to a point where you can't even do something for yourself. And I don't know, I don't think we can ever thank our mothers enough for the sacrifices that they make for us, or they do, or whatever for us, because they would literally give their all so that send you sign say and it's just,
I think we see it with a lot of women, like,
Yeah.
and then you're wondering, all the sacrifices they made just so their kids can feel I'm not and all
and
of
that's
that,
just something they say to console themselves, I guess.
And sometimes, and eventually you just don't bother anymore. As long as they're happy, as long as they have their new clothes, they're able to celebrate. I guess that there's a fulfillment that comes out of it. But like you said, it's a lot of pressure as well. It's just too much. Even just the jabante, because jabante bobo munge happen where you're doing all those other things as well.
You're going to the market.
It's a lot.
Just to find the perfect shoes, the right shoes for your child.
Salon. Like, wow.
It's crazy. And all of these things, it's pressure and it has a toll on your mental health. And even before you get to the point of Julissa, even during Ramadan.
Yeah.
We slightly mentioned it before, but if you're sick, physical illness that can be detected, you're not allowed to fast. But what about if you're depressed? Are you supposed to fast when you're depressed? Like you're someone who's diagnosed with depression. You're going through the depression. What do you do?
No, so 2 years ago, right? I was in London and then I visited like one of my friends and then like we had iftar and her and her husband were saying like I think he took a few days off fasting and he was just explaining, he was like, yeah, I wasn't feeling good at all, like I wasn't feeling mentally there and like I just couldn't do it, and it just made me feel like, oh my god, that is so like
You've never thought of it.
Yeah, not that I didn't even think of it, but it's like I'm so glad that it's something that you're normalizing to even speak about, because like it's so important to talk about the mental toll, because there's so many people that have, even for me personally, I know that there's sometimes a few days in the month where it's like my head is not in the right place, but it's like like you're not spiritually there for that fast for that day or those 2 days, but you still have to go ahead and like do the routine and do whatever it is that you need to do. But it'll like when we obviously don't take mental health seriously because it's not something you can physically see. Like suneko, okay, yeah, you know how on your period, yeah, okay, I'm bleeding from my vagina, great, so I can't fast. But like, what can you say? Oh, I'm not feeling there, so I can't, I can't perform my spiritual duties to the best of my ability. Why isn't that like something that we can just naturally say? That is and it's a valid excuse to not fast because you're sick.
I don't think it's what you've said. You're not spiritually connected. Because I feel like around here as well, a lot of the fasting is just tied to the eating and the drinking.
Yeah.
And once you do that, for a lot of people, it's fine. But it's also just the different acts of worship that you're expected to accomplish in every day. And obviously, if you're not there, you're just not there. And man, I always say, for body a lot of the things you need texting Bob and you know texting Bob, but
No, but as we're saying this, I'm thinking like mental health is illness, and we hear of the story of Sheikh Rafal, who was basically stopped from fasting because of his mental illness. So that I think is a valid reason to not fast. But these are things that we don't even consider when we say you can't fast or skip a day. All we think is physical illness. You have a severe headache or you're on your period or whatever, but we don't even think of mental illness. And some people have really serious mental illnesses. They're not, in Gambia, when you talk about mental illness, people think you're running around in the streets naked with your shoes in your hands or whatever. No, but there are people who are dealing with serious mental illnesses who are fasting
and who need to stay medicated. Who need to stay medicated throughout.
They need to stay medicated throughout. But you're skipping all of that because
I've heard so many stories where it's like you try to like skip the medication. For example, if you have any kind of illness that you need to be medicated, but it's like because you're like, oh, okay, it's a mental thing, I can ride it through and I don't have to like take whatever it is that I need to take at the prescribed time. You can't do it. So why are you forcing yourself to prove it to someone? I mean, I know why you're forcing yourself to prove it to someone, but it's like, it sucks that you have to go to those lengths to cover, or the fact that if you can't even fast, you have to be like, I did autumn, and then you have to tell people what your reason for not fasting is. I don't have to tell you nothing. All I gotta do is stay black and die. Why are you asking me? Why are you asking me if I can do this or if I can do that? Mind your own spirituality. How about that? Mind your business.
No, but
mind your relationship with God.
That you have to tell me also goes to people who ask women, why aren't you fasting? Hey, you're orulo, like.
Why? Of course, because I guess leka, so obviously leka.
Malay, I don't even like to say.
But I think it's all the shame it comes with, because even when women like are in their periods, it's the shame of even.
You can't have food,
seeing you, or even going to buy food and stuff. Me, I had to unlearn that like quite a few years ago. Because I fasted for the whole month, right? So I had like an irregular menstrual cycle and stuff. So I was able to fast for all 30 days. And then I crashed. I fell sick. Now I do like the guy looked at me and was like, "What's wrong with your tummy?" He without even checking me or anything. And that's when he was like, "Oh, you have gastroenteritis or whatever it's called, gastritis, call it whatever." And then he advised that I stop. Because also I wasn't eating as I should, and that was having some implications, and that's when then I was feeling guilt every time, because then there's also this thing but there's people who actually have those issues who are not even able to talk about it, because then everybody just looks at it as you're using it as an excuse to not fast.
My thing is Suneke sa kuko muna or this is a topato.
Exactly.
Full who's BM.
You sound like Nene.
It's the 1 month where you should be minding your business and people just don't. So if you don't have any goals yet, maybe make that your goal.
Mind your business.
Yeah. Mind your business.
Face your front.
In fact, not even mind your business. Mind your spirituality. Let's put it that way. Since it's a month to be spiritual, mind your own spirituality.
Anyway.
Don't ask women why they're not fasting. And women, if they ask you, just say, I'm bleeding from my vagina. Make it explicit enough that they won't ask another person. Ramadan, you can't name body parts.
Wow. Anyway.
No, because I feel like if you're not like super expressive with certain things, then it's gonna continue.
They will keep asking.
Because I said to my first of all, you should have been minding your business to begin with. But if you're like if you start being super explicit about certain things, they'll stop asking.
No, for me, honestly, you ask why I'm not fasting, I'll tell you I'm on my period, and then they get this horrified face, like uncomfortable.
You should have just
they're not gonna ask again.
Yeah, you should have just minded your
No,
business
but
to begin
I
with.
would just say I'm on my period. That's why I'm not fasting. So now, what you have that information? What are you going to
What
do?
you
with
gonna
that
do with
information?
it? That's why you should have never asked to begin with.
Probably gonna add it to their reports that they're sending to wherever.
Anyway, I think this is a good point to also share tips of how we plan on building our spirituality or how we've done it before in Ramadan, and just generally how to get through Ramadan, especially the hard days. How do you chief faster?
Whoa.
What is professional?
Whoa. Faster in chief.
Fasting expert. Specialist. Let's hear it.
No, I think honestly for me it's just like I said, I don't eat. So that part has never been like the major thing. But I'm kind of very honest with myself when it comes to my spiritual deficiencies. So for me it's like just choosing one thing every year and deciding to work on it. So it's like, and also just be kind to yourself and realizing that, you know what, today you might be really good at something. Today you might read 10 pages of the Quran, but that doesn't mean that you're going to do that the next day. And that's okay. So just realizing that, you know, God is merciful, so you also have to be merciful to yourself and understand that it's a 30-day journey and it's not a sprint. So danga def nanka rek lo muna, like whatever you can achieve, do that, and then if you can obviously build up on the last 10 days and see what you can do in those last I just thought about the tweet about anytime I think about the last 10 days and anytime I think about, like, you know, Laylatul Qadr, that's all I think about. The tweet about marry naka, either you marry me or I make dua for you on Laylatul Qadr or something. So don't make dua for anyone, please, I'm begging you. I also had someone that told me that once. They're like, where could be a mangenya and put to be with you? I'm like, where could be a mangenya against you?
So which one of the Yans won?
Mine. No, but just definitely nankarek, do what you can, and obviously like, in the last 10 days, you know, capitalize in however way you see fit. If you can spend every night at the masjid too, that's fine. Do what you can. And that's all my advice, because for me, my whole thing is always God is merciful and God knows what our limits are, and we should have limits.
I think my tip is going to be more in the line of the last 10 days, how everyone just wants to spend the whole night at the mosque. If you're like me, then you're not very good with staying up all night. So for me, what I do is maybe I would go to sleep and then set my alarm for 2 a.m. Wake up, like pray 2 rakas and then nyan whatever I want to ask for, and then go back to sleep, because that works for me. But it's better than going to the mosque and falling asleep whilst, you know, everyone is praying, right? So yeah, if staying up all night is difficult for you, find an hour in the middle of the night in which you can wake up, pray, make whatever prayers you have to make, and then go back to sleep.
Can I say a funny story?
Yes.
We missed your stories.
No. 2 years ago, I tried to, like, I didn't even stay up, but I think it was a night that I had people over, so I was like done, and I was like, you know, I'm Julian Gay and all of that, and then in the middle of my dua, I was like, God, I can pick it up at Target if you want. I was so tired.
What exactly were you picking
I
up?
don't remember. I was so tired. I started falling asleep, and I was telling God that I can pick up my duas at Target.
Imagine.
That's when I knew it was time to go to bed.
I think mine is for the woman and related to all the things that we were talking about. It's perhaps ask for help this time.
Yes.
You know, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not do things that you're not able to do. If you don't have the capacity, if you don't have the strength, if you don't have the financial muscle, don't let anyone make you feel like there are obligations, especially lo hamne dine santane would call. It's a cultural thing. It's nice to do. It's the kind of community we are in. But once it becomes an obligation, it's tiring for a lot of people. So don't go beyond your means to satisfy people your hamne. 99% of the time they don't even care about you. But also normalize asking for help, you know, from your partners, if that's something that they don't do anyway, because we can't come here and act like that's the kind of, you know, families people come from, or that's what we see where, you know, the tasks are shared and all. But it's okay to make Ramadan that point. And you have, I think great references in the religion, even with the Prophet and how he lived his life. And with all these men who say they're trying to follow his example, but only for the things that really work for them alone. It's okay to have those conversations. And start them now. It might not change completely this year, but you could change certain things, and it could make the difference also, especially if you have kids at home who are watching. So get everyone involved in the activity and just use it as a bonding time as well. Having everyone involved in the preparations, in the eating, in the cleaning, and everything. We just need to be able to ask for help and understand that we also have our goals. We're also trying to worship, and our responsibilities are not just to serve other people during this month. We also need to do the work to connect with our God, and to build up our spirituality. And it's really hard to do that when you're exhausted and tired, and the only thing you're thinking of at the end of the day is to hop into bed.
I think that's really a really good place to not just end it, but also just a good reminder that Ramadan is a time for spirituality for women too. So it's not just men that are gaining all of it. Yes, there's blessing in cooking and feeding, but there's greater blessing in just worshiping your God. So just remember that.
Well, it's been a very nice episode. Hadith's memories have been cracking me up.
She always has stories to tell.
She always has stories.
It's not Rui in the like a haram in the Rui. It is the contact lenses that she's wearing and forgetting about.
But it's a good way to get into our favorite segment of the podcast.
Musso
the week.
Musso.
I should release a song for this segment of the thing,
You stop it.
Please.
I'm begging you.
Respect yourself.
It's Ramadan and
I'm begging you.
Respect
I'm begging
yourself.
you. Respect
It's
us.
Ramadan.
Okay.
It's Ramadan.
Anyways, it's Musso of the week, and our Musso for this week, or our Mussos, are Gambian women in this Ramadan, and like with all the struggles that we've just mentioned, having to go through that, and dealing with being everything at once to everybody except yourself. You are hardworking, amazing, diligent women, and you honestly, I'm not saying this because I want you all to keep suffering. I'm saying this as in like, give yourselves a break, and don't cook every day. Sometimes you're like, you know what, I don't want to do this, but you are all our Mussos, and we wish you all a very, very wonderful Ramadan. We hope that you gain all the blessings and all the spirituality that you are seeking. May all your du'as be answered in the best of ways, if they are what is best for you. Unless may you reap all the benefits that you are hoping for in this month. And may it be in the best of ways, and all the good habits that you do pick up for this year, may it be habits that continue throughout not just the year, but throughout your life, and throughout the lives that you will also influence. May they see the goodness in you, and may they also adopt that goodness.
I mean.
Where are we picking this to?
But again, thank you all so much for tuning in and listening. Again, Ramadan Mubarak. Send us your questions and all the feedback that you have. And again, we want to hear what your goals are for the Ramadan. We want to keep each other accountable. Yeah.
I want to hear your funny stories as well.
Yes.
What are your funny Ramadan stories? What are some experiences that you had? But yeah, send us your thoughts. Let us connect on our social media. By now, you should all know where we are. If we've been on this journey together up to this point, you all should know where to find us. But in case you don't know, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Musso Podcast. And obviously we have our YouTube channel as well, where we share fully subtitled episodes. So if you know anybody who probably has hearing disabilities and probably thinks that they can't enjoy a podcast, Musso Podcast is doing that work to make it accessible to them, so they can go catch up and enjoy our podcast. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, send us your thoughts. We love reading from you. We love hearing from you, and we're looking forward to your stories.
All right. Thank you to Right Click as well for a great production. We're really grateful for your assistance and your service. We really couldn't have done this without you. But also to our accessibility assistants. Our accessibility directors, Aissatou Suare, Susie, and IJ.
One of them is a dictator.
We're really grateful for you. Who's a dictator?
I did, the dictator.
They're both dictators.
You know, Susie would text me and threaten me saying our episodes are too long. So, yeah, but, we're grateful for the two of you. We love you. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
But also, just to let you guys know, we're taking a short break, a short Ramadan break, to observe Ramadan, get into our spirituality, but also give you a chance to catch up on the episodes you've missed and to also listen to your favorite episodes again. We cannot wait. We cannot wait to see you on the other side. Thank you for joining us. Have a great week and Ramadan Mubarak to everyone.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramsey Mobs, y'all.
This is your patience manifesting.